Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the... Oh, Jesus, what are we doing? We're doing the June boxing schedule, excuse me. So I'm going to discuss all fights that are taking place in the month of June, where you can watch them, what networks, what apps, whatever. And then we are going, I'm just going to get into them briefly. And then I'll give you my the best cards of the month. And then after that, I'll give you probably like my top 5 fights of the month. So we kick it off with this Saturday, June 1st, the 5 versus 5 Queensberry versus Matchroom showdown that's taking place on DAZN pay-per-view. The headline now, it was supposed to be Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol for the undisputed light heavyweight world title. Bivol is still fighting on this card. He's going to defend his title after Beterbiev injured himself. But he's going to be taking on some undefeated but little-known fighter named Malik Zinad, I think his name is. So it should be a title defense right there. Bivol will defend that belt because it was a meniscus tear for Beterbiev. So likely not going to be back and be able to do this fight until the end of the year now. So we'll see. I think the main event now, though, is going to be the conclusion of the 5 versus 5, which is Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang and their big-time heavyweight scrap right here. A lot riding on this fight. Both guys are coming off of decision losses to Joseph Parker, and now they're at a crossroads. Absolutely, like everybody else, this fight should end by a knockout. Two big power punchers right here. Who's going to pull this one out? Wilder is Eddie Hearn's wild card and also his captain, so he'll get more points with a victory here. Should be a good one. I'm very much looking forward to that heavyweight fight. Then you got Filip Hrgović, the undefeated mandatory #1 ranked contender right now, is going to battle former secondary heavyweight champion Daniel Dubois. Interesting heavyweight matchup right here. We still are not sure if the IBF heavyweight title is going to be on the line in this fight, as the IBF has not made a decision. From Alexander Usyk just recently, I think just the other day, asked for an exception to hold on to his undisputed title for the rematch with Tyson Fury. We don't know if the IBF is going to allow that or not. We'll see what takes place, but either way, this is going to be a very good heavyweight showdown between Hrgović and Dubois right here. Also part of the 5 versus 5, I love this middleweight matchup. Hamza Shiraz, undefeated, tall middleweight contender, and also the captain of Queensberry in this fight. So more points if he wins. Battles undefeated Austin Ammo Williams. These are two undefeated middleweights that are trying to bust through that ceiling, and they're rolling the dice fighting each other. I love this matchup right here. Gonna be a good one. Also on that card for the 126-pound featherweight championship, WBA champion undefeated Raymond Ford battles undefeated Nick Ball. Very intriguing matchup right here. These guys wanted this to be a unification bout, but Ball ended up fighting to a draw back in March on the Wilder and Ngannou undercard, and he didn't grab the WBC title against Ray Vargas, but he's challenging Ford in this one. This is going to be a good matchup right here too. I really like this matchup. So that is very intriguing. And then kicking off the 5 versus 5 is Willie Hutchinson versus Craig Richards in a light heavyweight showdown. So that should be an interesting one as well. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I really can't wait to see this whole card right here. It's on DAZN pay-per-view. I know I got a baseball tournament that day, but hopefully it doesn't interfere too much. But I'm pretty excited to watch this fight. Should be a good one. We'll see what goes down. But that's it. That's what I got. That's it for that card. I'm sorry. I got drawn into thinking that was the fight card for just this week. I apologize. On June 5th, which is a Wednesday, on ProBox TV, which is free, and I just downloaded it, Radzab Butayev, the former secondary welterweight champion, continues his run at 154 when he battles little-known Guido Schramm right here. This should be a stay-busy type fight for Butayev, but it's good to see him fight. I like Radzab Butayev. His fight with the Imantas Stanionis on the Spence Ugas undercard a couple years ago was pretty damn good. But he's battling Guido Schramm. Not really an undercard to talk about, but should be a solid fight right here. A performance out of Butayev. I'm looking forward to it. Then on Thursday, June 6th, you got a battle of former middleweight contenders that are trying to get themselves back in the mix. And let's be honest, middleweight is wide open. You got Stephen Butler, who just last year challenged for the middleweight title, got knocked out against Janabak Alamanhalai when he fought him. But he's also fought Ryota Murata, who he got knocked out against. But he returned with a knockout victory over Steve Rolls. And now he's taken on a former, not a title challenger, but a former contender, Patrice Vony. Vony fought Esquiva Falchao to become the mandatory #1 contender at the IBF title, I believe about a year and a half ago. It was before Falchao became mandatory to Triple G, and then Falchao ended up fighting, what's his name? Vicente Gualtieri last year for the vacant IBF title. So Vony was close to a title fight. And now him and Butler are going to go at it on ESPN from Canada on Thursday the 6th. So might be an interesting middleweight scrap in a division that's pretty wide open, that these guys could be just a heartbeat away. The winner could be just a heartbeat away from a title shot. So interesting if you want to tune into that. That's Thursday the 6th. Then Saturday the 8th should be very good. Xander Zayas, the undefeated junior middleweight contender at 154, is going to return to battle former 154-pound champion, the hard-hitting Patrick Teixeira. Good matchup right here. Teixeira's, was a champion before he defeated Carlos Adames, the current middleweight champ. He went on to lose to Brian Castaño. I think he suffered a loss to Magomed Kurbanov since then. For Zayas, if he is the real deal at 154, this is his best test that he's facing so far. I'm looking forward to seeing this one. I like this matchup right here. So Zayas and Teixeira on June 8th. Not really an undercard to speak of, so just tune in for that on Saturday the 8th. Then on the 15th, we got a lot going on. First, from the United Kingdom, and I hope ESPN brings us this fight, because right now it's on Sky Sports. Haven't heard anything but a rematch in the cruiserweight division, as reigning WBO champion Chris Billum Smith, who upset Lawrence Okoli last year, is set to make the second defense of his title against the only man to ever defeat him, undefeated Richard Riakporhe. These guys fought a few years ago and ended by a split decision in favor of Riakporhe. And now Riakporhe has climbed his way up the rankings into a title shot, and he's fighting Chris Billum Smith in a rematch on June 15th. That's earlier in the day, and again, I hope ESPN picks this one up so we can watch these two guys fight for the title at 200 pounds. Also that day on DAZN, you got Subriel Matias in the main event of that DAZN card battles Liam Paro, undefeated Australian contender. Good matchup right here. Matias has been rolling, making 5 guys in a row quit in their corner. He's won, I think this is going to be the second defense of his IBF title against the undefeated Australian Liam Paro, who almost got a title shot last year against Regis Prograis, and then went on to stop Montana Love on an undercard. So now he's getting a crack at the title. He's hungry. Should be a good matchup against Matias on the 15th. The undercard's not really anything to speak of, but the big card on June 15th, Amazon pay-per-view, is main evented by a double main event, as first, Gervonta Tank Davis is going to be the last fight on the card. Reigning undefeated WBA lightweight champion of the world is officially the full champion and is going to make his first official, the first real title defense when he battles Frank Martin, the undefeated American contender. I say real title defense just because he was a secondary champion before being upgraded to full champ. So not to say his other title defenses are not legit. That's up to you guys to argue. But he has the full world title in this title defense. So he'll be taking on undefeated Frank Martin. Should be a decent matchup right there. Martin's hungry, undefeated, has that slick southpaw boxing style that Davis hasn't really fought much of. So I think it's an intriguing matchup. I did a breakdown on that one. Go check it out. The double main event, the other one, the co-feature, undefeated, former two-time super middleweight world champion, current interim champ at super middle, David Benavidez, the guy that everybody wants Canelo to fight, is debuting at 175 to battle the former light heavyweight champion and former Olympian Alexander Votzik of the Ukraine. I also did a breakdown video on this fight. This is a very good matchup right here. I'm really looking forward to it. Votzik is not a guy to overlook. Benavidez is taking his move to 175 serious. It's kind of long overdue. And I'm really looking forward to this matchup right here between Benavidez and Votzik. It should be a good one. Also on the card, the 160-pound middleweight championship on the line when Carlos Adames, the newly upgraded champion, makes the first defense of his belt against former world title challenger Terrell Gausha. Gausha, just a good, solid veteran, been around the block, taking on Adames, who wants to finally set his name in the stone here at 160 pounds following that following being the interim champion for a while the WBC allowed Charlo to remain champion. Finally, they righted that wrong, stripped him of the belt, and now Adames gets to be the full champion and start his reign here. And I'm looking forward to seeing him and Gausha. And then a battle of undefeateds at 140. Gary Antoine Russell battling former champion, undefeated Alberto Puello. Good matchup right here. A lot of action should be going down in this fight. Very good fight for the winner. Whoever wins this fight is going to really be on a strong pace in the very deep 140-pound junior welterweight division. So that fills out that card on the 15th. Then on Friday, June 21st on ESPN, pretty decent card right here. Rafael Espinosa, who defeated Robesai Ramirez for the WBO featherweight title, makes the first defense of his belt against Sergio Sanchez. Good Mexican battle right here between these two. Should be a pretty good scrap. That's going to headline the ESPN card. And then the co-feature is a good fight right here at 130 pounds. Undefeated Andres Cortez, 21-0, is going to battle former world title challenger Abraham Supernova, who's coming off of a strong performance against Oshaki Foster back in February, where he challenged for the WBC title and lost a split decision. He's going to battle the undefeated Cortez, who really is stepping up his game and taking on the toughest opponent of his career right here. Cortez has a couple nice wins against a couple one-loss guys, Xavier Martinez and Brian Chevalier, but Nova's definitely the toughest opponent he's fighting, and Nova's hungry following that split decision loss to Foster. So I'm very intrigued by this co-feature on Friday the 21st. Then on Friday the 28th, we have on ProBox TV, we have Lamont Roach Jr. is defending his WBA super featherweight title at 130 against undefeated Feargal McCrory from Ireland. That's going to headline a ProBox TV card. Not really quite sure why he's being allowed to fight this McCrory guy. I was under the impression he had two mandatories to take care of. But, you know, be that as it may, Roach is returning. So looking forward to seeing him back in action. And then it's either 168 or 175. Some undefeated, I think he's from Argentina, his name's Martinez, is battling Carlos Congora in the co-feature, who was a tough fighter at 168 a couple years back, decent fighter. So that's on the undercard there. Then on June 29th, we got a couple cards. A very good matchup at 115 for the WBC title Juan Francisco Estrada defeated Chocolatito last year in their third fight. Is battling Bam Rodriguez, who's moving up from 112. Very good matchup on DAZN right here. I'm very excited for that one. On the undercard, Sonny Edwards, the former 112-pound champ, returns from his loss to Bam Rodriguez to take on some guy named Curiel. Also on June 29th on ESPN, Teofimo Lopez makes a title defense against Steve Claggett from Canada. This is a joke of a fight here at 140 of a title defense for Lopez, but it's happening, and it's going to main event that June 29th card. On the undercard in the co-feature, you got Robeisy Ramirez, the former featherweight champ, is battling Brandon Benitez, who defeated former WBA champion Shu Kan of China a couple years back in 2022. So interesting featherweight battle right there. Should be decent. So now let's look at the fight cards. What are the top 3 cards of the month to pay attention to? Kind of tough to say, I'll be honest, because in terms of deep cards, there's not a lot of really good top to bottom cards. I guess I'm going to say number 3, even though I don't like the main event, but we're still going to be able to see a Teofimo Lopez coming back. Oh, yeah, I am going to say this one because it also has Nico Ali Walsh on the undercard. So my number 3 card is the June 29th ESPN card, headlined by Teofimo Lopez and Stephen Claggett. Co-feature Robeisy Ramirez and Brandon Benitez at 126. And then Nico Ali Walsh is also fighting on this card. That's the grandson of Muhammad Ali. So that makes this one the 3rd best card of the month. The 2nd best card, tough to decide this one, really tough, but I'm going with the June 15th Amazon pay-per-view card, headlined by Tank Davis and Frank Martin, David Benavidez, Alexander Vocyk for the interim light heavyweight title, Carlos Adames and Terrell Gausha for the middleweight title, and then the undefeated battle of 140-pounders with Gary Antoine Russell and Alberto Puello. That's Amazon pay-per-view June 15th. But the biggest card of the month to me is the 5 versus 5 Queensberry versus Matchroom card that has 6 significant fights on it. It's not just the 5 versus 5. Bivol, who is supposed to fight Beterbiev on this card, still defending his title against undefeated light heavyweight contender Malik Zanad. Then Wilder Zhang in a huge heavyweight showdown, part of the 5 versus 5. Hrgovic and Dubois, huge heavyweight showdown. Could end up being a title fight still, we don't know yet. The big time undefeated middleweight showdown between Hamza Shiraz and Austin Ammo Williams. And then Raymond Ford and Nick Ball for the featherweight title. And Willie Hutchinson and Craig Richards in a light heavyweight battle right there. Should be solid. So that card is the biggest card of the month for me. So now top 5 fights. God, this is such a tough one this month to decide, because there is some good solid action taking place, but I think, wow, Jesus, who am I going to give this one to? God, guys, I'm struggling here. Okay, number 5 on the month. You can argue this, but I am very intrigued by the Hamza Shiraz Austin Ammo Williams showdown on the 5 versus 5 card, because Shiraz can legitimately be a star and take over middleweight. He's that good, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him fight. And Austin Ammo Williams brings a lot to the table as well. So this fight tied with the Gary Antoine Russell, Alberto Puello, undefeated 140-pound battle. And then the middleweight title fight also on the June 15th card between Carlos Adames and Terrell Gausha. And tied with the Subriel Matias and Liam Paro fight, also on June 15th on DAZN. You know what? I gotta say it. All those are just missing my top 5. Those guys are like 6 through 10 because it's such a deep month. Number 5, I have to call it, is Juan Francisco Estrada and Bam Rodriguez. It might be higher on some people's list This is an all little guys showdown between the two best fighters between 112 and 115. Bam Rodriguez has a similar win over the guy that knocked out Chocolatito years ago. And also Estrada has beat that guy, and he's also beat Chocolatito. So Estrada and Bam Rodriguez, and all this is going to be a war right here for the 115-pound title. That's June 29th on DAZN. That's a huge one. Now, these other 4 fights were tough to put in order, but I'm going to try my best. Number 4 is the Filip Hrgović and Daniel Dubois heavyweight showdown. I know Hrgović is considered a solid favorite, and he should be, but Dubois is not a pushover, and this also could end up being for the 140-pound or heavyweight title once the IBF makes a decision. So very intriguing heavyweight battle right there. Number 3 for me on the month is Tank Davis and Frank Martin. I like Tank Davis, I do. I don't like his opponent selection, but Frank Martin is a decent undefeated contender. It's the final fight on that card, so it should be intriguing. I'm looking forward to it on June 15th for the lightweight title. Number 2 on the month, toss-up, but I'm going with Benavidez and Vocek because it's such a big fight at 175. This is almost my top fight of the month. Benavidez fighting Alexander Vocek is a very intriguing matchup. I called it in my breakdown video. I'll give you a little sneak preview if you go watch that. To me, this is Benavidez's toughest opponent on paper going into a fight right here. And Alexander Vocek. That's how good Alexander Vocek is, or was at least. And it's a good matchup right here that I'm very excited to see. The number 1 fight of the month, and it's hard to call it, but how do you pass up Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang? How do I say there's a bigger fight than that? These 2 heavyweights are coming for blood and for a knockout. It's a crossroads heavyweight fight. The winner is really going to be in a good position for a big fight. The loser is going to drop, but both guys are such big draws in their respective spaces, but also around the world. Deontay Wilder is huge, and I'm looking forward to seeing this heavyweight showdown on June 1st on DAZN pay-per-view. So that's it, guys. That's what I got. That is my June boxing schedule. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.